Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it. Another episode of the Image Connection Show, where we talk all things branding, image, and a bit of entrepreneurship to help you elevate not just your life, but your career. I'm your host, Jenny Dewberry. I'm the founder and CEO of People Power Consultancy, an international image consultant, brand coach, speaker, and trainer. Today's episode, we're going to talk about self-image, resilience, and pushing past limited beliefs to get you to where you want to be in life. And joining me as my special guest, Mr. Otis Gore. Otis is an established entrepreneur. He's the founder of the Gore real estate team. He's also an esteemed mentor and coach. Thanks for joining me, Otis.
Yes, how are you? Thank you for having me, Ms. Dewberry. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate you being here with us. I'm really looking forward to talking about your book. You're an author of the book Audacity of Doubt.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about some of the things that help you get through your journey. I know that you hail from Bronx, New York.
Yes.
Your journey is very interesting. Journey of struggles and then conquering. So I want to talk to you a bit about that and how your journey helped you to write this book, and also how the book and your experiences help you coach others through their entrepreneurial journey, how you help them to show up and how you help them to build a positive self-image. So let's just start there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. So let's start with like self-image. What prompted you to write the book? What led you to that? We can start there.
It's funny because I've always had this thought, or I've always had this, image in my mind of me writing a book someday. I always believe that everybody has a book in them at some point, just a matter of pushing through to actually write it. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't, we don't get to that point, right? Mm-hmm. But everyone has a story to tell. So I've always been, for some reason, in a position, or I was put in a position, or people saw me as this guy that they can get advice from, this guy that they could come to. They always felt comfortable. I don't know why, but it always been the case. Even when I was like a teenager, right? The youth center would just put me, say, Otis, you're in charge. I'm like, I am, Yeah. So as I grew up, I've always grew up around people who were mentoring people, which I was blessed to have, because I grew up in the Bronx.
Yes.
And the Bronx was a different place when I was growing up. Not like it is now, but it's way different. So we had to really think outside the box. We really had to have our imagination on where we actually can go, because all we saw was that 2746 Decatur, 197th Street. That's all we knew, that little block right there. So for kids to be positive, there was a youth center that we would go to, and they would allow us to, see that there's more to life. They would give us projects and tell us, hey, you guys, this is this, and So I've always put in charge in that. So I always thought to myself, you know what? As I got older, I said, maybe I'll write a book one day. And people would tell me that.
Okay.
So it prompted me to start thinking about it. Then it took me to where I'm at now to start writing it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then even when I was writing it, I was kind of going off and on, because some days, as you know, as a writer yourself, some days you have writer's block. You don't know what to write, or you might have a couple of things. And someone asked me one time, did you write in that book yet? I said, yeah, where you at? I said, I'm at the title. That's it. But, sometimes it's like that. But then when I actually really push myself and really start to do it, then it prompted me. Then I just said, let me just buckle down and just try to finish it. You know, it
Yeah.
started off one way, then it ended up another way. The name wound up being a different title. It wound up being a different type of book. It was just a transition within a transition, you know, so
Sure.
it was kind of odd.
Sure, because as we write and as we, go through these experiences, we
Yeah.
discover different things about ourselves. And
Yes.
writing takes us to that place to where, first of all, you're going to write authentically. So you want to make
Yes.
sure that your story is authentic so that it resonates
Yes.
with those that you want to reach, right? And then, you talked about where you grew up, and then your
Right.
mentors taught you how to see yourself outside of that situation, and
Yes.
then how you thought about yourself constantly writing this book many, many years ago, how you
Yeah.
perhaps thought about being where you are today in your entrepreneur journey or your real
Yes.
estate journey. So that just there speaks to the power of thought. The things
Yes.
we think are what becomes, no matter what
Yes.
it's good, bad,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. If we think a thing, that's what it's gonna be. So tell me a bit about you talk about in your book pushing through limited beliefs, which is
Right.
exactly what you did. You could have just stayed stagnant in your situation and believed that I can move no further than this. Of course, the
Right.
mentors helped you, but it was your own thought process and your own mindset that got you through that. So can you
Mhm.
talk about pushing through limited beliefs and how building that self resilience kind of helped
Mhm.
you along your journey?
Yeah. So I always, it's weird because when I was in high school, right, there used to be this teacher, Mr. Ross, he was an English teacher. And
Hmm.
for some reason, I don't know what he saw in me or what have you, but he would always just tell me something like every now and then through the year. Like he knows, teachers have this way of, they deal with so many kids. They see who's who and who has potential and if they don't get it together, this is the situation or what have you. So he would put a little saying in my mind all through the year. He would say, Otis, you're being interviewed every single day. You just don't know it. So I
That's
looked at him like, I'm 16, 17. I like Mr. Ross. I got it at the time I was working at McDonald's. So that was
right.
cool for me. So I was like, I got a job. I'm not interviewing. So then he goes, oh, just listen to me. And then as the year go on, then he would hit me with it again.
Yeah,
Otis, you're being interviewed every single day, but you just don't know it.
that's
And I'll
right.
be like, okay. Right. Then at the end of the year, June, he said, we're going into the summer. He said, don't forget what I told you, Otis. Summertime, have a good summer. But you are being interviewed every single day. You don't know it. So I looked at him and I said, what is Mr. Ross talking about? So I said, okay, no problem. So fast forward into July, one of my older buddies was old enough to rent a car. He got old enough.
Hmm.
He got a driver's license, rent the car. We thought that was cool.
Oh,
A
yeah.
car, you know? So we started cruising around and we got to our block because we wanted to kind of show off a little bit like we were in a
Mhm.
car. So as soon as we drove up to the store, these two cop cars, one in front of us, one in back of us. And they said they got a report of a stolen car and we fit the description, right?
Yes.
So once that happened, all of a sudden, the whole block, I was nervous. First thing I thought I was my mom. I was like, oh no, my mom's going to kill me, right?
Yeah.
Because she always told us, you guys ever go to jail, I'm not coming to get you. So I
No.
took that to heart, right?
Hmm.
And out of a sudden, I saw the whole block started coming to our defense. They were like, leave those kids alone. Those are good kids. They don't hurt nobody. Those are good boys. So they just started saying good things to about
Yeah.
us to the cop. And the
Hmm.
cop was just looking around, looking around. That's when I thought about Mr. Ross. That's
Yes.
when I said, oh, this is what he's talking about.
Hmm.
People are watching you.
People are watching, and you're branding yourself
Yes,
every moment of
every moment, how you
yeah,
look, how you dress, who you hang with,
every
how you talk,
season.
how you
Yeah.
react. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I knew right then and there. I thought about Mr. Ross. I was like, oh, so this is what he's saying.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I thought maybe the block sees us as good kids. Maybe they see that we had the potential.
Yeah. They're
Right.
watching.
Right. They're watching. Right. And I tell that to a lot of the people that I mentor. I
Hmm.
tell that to my daughters as they're grown now. I said, listen, people are watching you. You never know who could change your life.
That's
You
right.
never know who could give you that option to
Hmm.
do something different.
Yeah.
You know, and as I went along, and even in my journey as becoming a real estate agent, people would tell me, Otis, you got the gift again. You could sell real estate because I was in sales anyway. But I
Hmm.
wasn't really thinking like that because when you don't think about something, it's not on your radar. This is this thing called your radar. You ever
Hmm.
notice when you buy it, when you're looking for a car, when you buy a car, all of a sudden the car you bought, you see it all over the place.
Everyone has one. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute, though. I wasn't thinking about this car before, but now here it is, right?
Yeah.
because it's not on your radar. And, I heard Tony Robbins say one time, he said, people don't fight for what they don't value, right? So whatever it is you're going to fight for or you're going to go for, it has to have enough value for you to put the effort in to do it.
That's very true. It's very
Otherwise, it's
passion.
not going to mean anything.
Yes.
If someone says, Otis, we need you to go and learn Russian. For what? Just to learn it. I don't live in Russia, for example.
You're not interested. You're
But
not
if I was in the military or what have you, or if I had a career where it had to put me in Russia, I have to get on that radar now. I have to learn it because I got to be able to communicate, right?
Right.
So what made me, it's for me pushing through. I had no choice because of the way I came from, and I had to actually see outside of where I was, and people helped me do that, which I was lucky in that fact. Because people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, because people always view you differently when you see yourself. You know how they say you're always your own worst critic.
Yeah.
You could lose weight or you could look good, right? You could have a goal and say, hey, I want to get in shape and do this. Then you actually get in shape. Or, you think, you okay, I'm better than what I was before. But people say, whoa, look at you, blah, blah, blah. But you look at yourself like, I could do better. I can go further. I can go further.
Right. Yeah.
It's always that's why when you got the limiting beliefs, right? The limiting beliefs, people just stay where they are, because in my book, I talk about living in your settlement. And what life does, right? Life kind of puts you in position or gives you things or shows you things. But a lot of us fail to see what we're actually supposed to see, because a lot of times our eyes are not open, but we think they are, but they're not. So, for example, there's nothing wrong with being like a bus driver or a teacher. There's nothing wrong with those careers. But I guarantee you, a lot of them probably didn't start out to do that. There was a different perception or a different image that they saw themselves. But for whatever reason, because you fall into something and your bills are being paid, you got a little car, rent. So that kind of say, I don't want to call it success, but the settlement kind of enables you from going for what you really want to go for. I believe that for you to really go for what you want to go for, there's a certain amount of struggle that has to happen. Very true. That's a certain amount of struggle, because what that's going to do, that's going to determine how bad you want it.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, self-image, it all starts with self-awareness, self-image, and what we think that we are worthy of. Now, as you said, we all need services. We all need people to provide services to us, the bus driver, the environmental services worker.
Yeah.
Some of them, believe it or not, that's what they want to do.
Some of them,
what they want to do. But for those of us that are perhaps working in these industries and fields just to pay a bill, because we don't believe that or don't know how to reach higher, that comes with self-image and worth. And so when you are mentoring I'm not sure if it's young men or women or all, when you're mentoring them and they have that, I call it a turtle's view versus a giraffe's view, because when you're a turtle, you can only see what's in front of you pretty much. There's a very, very small window that you can see. But from a higher view, the span is, it makes you feel like you can reach for the stars, but that is a learned mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you approach that mindset shift and self-image practices to those that you coach or mentor, even in your book? You spoke about some things that you have in your book related to that, but how do you pour into a client or your mentees from that standpoint of self-image, positive self-image and mindset shift?
It's amazing because you're right. It really depends on who I'm mentoring or who I'm coaching. Like, I have a different approach when it's, teenagers anywhere from like 15 to 18, young adults 21 to 25, and then even older adults, right? But there is one way that I tell them, I teach them about perspective, right? How you see things is really, really important. All right. There's a lot of things that your perspective can do to you, of what you allow it to
you.
So, so your perspective, it's like, it could either be your prison or your power, right? It could either arrest you or release you. Yeah. It's no matter how you see it. And you talked about the turtle and the giraffe, right? It's funny you said it, because I told a class that when I spoke at the career day, and I told them that their perspective can either ground them or it could be their passport. right?
Mm-hmm.
How you see things is how what you're going to believe that it's going to be, but you got to really believe what you're seeing, right? So when I was in high school as well, there was a saying that I heard this lecturer say, and he said about the mirror effect, right? See,
Mm-hmm.
some things stick with me. I was like, oh, and I remember that from all the way back there. I ain't gonna tell you how long ago, but
We'll have to. We'll use
I
our
graduated.
imaginations.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I graduated high school. Let's just say the Jerry curl was in style. But anyway,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I had one. But anyway,
Thank you,
that
Ty.
was it. Man. I thought I was ready. I thought I was coming to America ready for the. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, so there was this thing, right? And I've used this analogy because I think it's so effective, right? You see,
Mm-hmm.
yours is the image connection, right? So the mirror effect is when you look in the mirror, right? People believe that they just see themselves coming back at them, but what they really see is two things.
Mm-hmm.
They see the image and they see the reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reflection is actually their life. That's their reality. That's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
That's the reflection that's
Yeah.
coming back at you. But the image is in your mind. The image is what you would like to see,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in order for you to change the reflection to the image that how you really see yourself or what you really want, you got to start working on the reflection,
Yeah.
right? So if you're standing here now, right, and you say, for example, I want to lose weight, I'm a little fat or whatever, look at my face, blah blah blah. Now
Mm-hmm.
you start working and training and eating right. As you go along, right, the reflection starts to change.
Yeah. It does. It
It
does.
does. That's how you got to see it here in your mind. I just told someone recently that stop allowing the past to dictate your future, because the only thing you can do on the past is change your perception on it,
Yeah.
and the only way you could do that is to think about it differently because it
Yeah.
already happened.
It's done. It's over.
It's
But you
done.
can take pieces of that
It's
past
pieces of it.
and apply it to where we're going. It's not. I mean,
Right.
that's a part of our story. That's our
Exactly.
story. So yeah, we can't. We don't. Shouldn't forget the past.
Right.
We shouldn't make it hold us hostage. Allow it to hold us hostage either, especially the bad parts of it. But
Yeah.
I truly believe there are pieces that we can take from those experiences
Yeah.
and apply it today, right, to help us to
Yeah.
achieve the things that we want to achieve, or not make the same mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good and bad. Your past could be good or bad. But whatever's the bad piece of it, there's even some good in that, because anything that you're going through in your life, right? That process, you're gonna be if that process is a long process, a short process, a middle
Mm-hmm.
ground, you have to know to yourself, or you have to want to be a different person once you go through that.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna be from when that started to the end of it. Just like how they say, just like they always say, people are going towards a storm, going through a storm, or coming out of one. But the
Yeah.
key is, right? The key is to be who you're going to be when you come out of it.
Yeah.
What have you learned during that? You got to learn something.
Yeah. And hopefully be wise enough to
Yeah.
do things differently and see yourself differently. But again, that does take practice because, some of us, we go through these storms and doing the same thing every day,
Yeah.
expecting, as they say, expecting different results. But
Right.
again, we don't, especially people that are entering into different phases of life that they're totally unfamiliar with. They
Right.
want to do something. They want to be someone different. They want to
Yeah.
the world to see them differently, and they want to do it differently. They just don't know how, which is when
Yeah.
mentoring comes in and coaching comes in to
Yeah.
help them, to first of all, find their values, identify their values and their beliefs, and
Right.
then also to help them to dispel those limited beliefs that they have been trapped in, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe it's his childhood, because sometimes we adhere to the values and beliefs that were instilled in us by our parents, which are
Yeah.
great. But as we grow, those things sometimes are not really attached to who we are or align with who we are as
Yeah.
adults. Yeah. So in your book, and I do want to say something to the audience too, though. If
Yes.
you're struggling with a bit of self-doubt, just sit back and think about what it is that you can do to get over it. And if you've gotten over some aspects of self-doubt, how did you do it? And then share that with someone else that you might
Yes.
feel is struggling in that space. We just need a word. Many of us, we
Yeah.
just need a word or someone to tell us, this is what you should do. Just
Yes.
2 seconds, 2 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
to someone else. So I'm really big about that, giving back and not always doing it for a monetary reason.
Right.
It's helping
Right.
people's lives.
Everybody has an ulterior motive, or everybody wants something.
That's
You
true,
know,
but
the
that
only thing
is,
yeah,
yeah.
just like you and I are on the same wavelength. Like the only thing
Mhm,
you ever want to do is if some person gets something out of what you told them or what you showed them or
mhm,
what you advise them to do, if they even move towards a little bit, they have a certain percentage, they got to move towards that. You know,
yeah.
because it's very easy to get enabled.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
very easy.
because
You
it's
know,
comfortable.
it's very easy
It's
to get enabled.
comfortable.
You know, and even a certain amount of success can enable you. Well, people don't
Mhm,
realize that.
mhm.
You know, people don't realize that. And sometimes, you know, you may be put in a position that maybe you wasn't going for, but here you are. You
Yeah,
know, now what you gonna do with it? You can lose it as fast as you got it.
that's right. If you're not prepared and if you're
If
not
you're not
mentally
prepared for it.
prepared, or if you feel like, and I've worked with individuals, mainly women, my clients are mainly women, they get these positions and
Yeah,
they're deserving of the positions. They have all the skills, they have all the hard skills, the soft skills, they have all of that, but for some reason they sometimes don't feel like they belong or like
right.
they're worthy. And that
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome, yes, and that goes back to how we see ourselves and
Yeah,
again, self-image. So yeah,
yeah,
imposter image, imposter image is
yeah.
huge,
Yeah,
especially
it
keep up with
we've
society.
all I know, I've experienced that as well.
Mhm,
Even when I was in corporate America, and you know, I would go to like years ago. This is in the 2000s, and I was a manager in Long Island, but I was like one of the only minorities there. So sometimes I would go into a room and feel like, okay,
mhm,
you know, but I had to fight through that. I didn't
yeah,
let you know the old saying, never let them see you sweat.
mhm.
You know, I faked like I belonged until I actually did belong.
Yeah, and
You know,
I think that if you have been invited into a space,
yeah,
on a table, you belong there. So
yeah,
you can't understand why, or you
yeah,
can't see that you belong there. If someone invited you there, you belong there because
yeah,
they see value in what you're offering.
right,
Yeah, your book, you talk about ingenuity through growth or as a
yeah,
tool for growth.
yes.
What does that mean? If you can kind of expound on that.
So you know, there is a chapter in my book on
Mhm.
growth, right?
Okay.
And I always tell people that, you know, you don't go through anything, but you grow through everything, right?
Mhm.
And the key is the key is this: you have to allow the growth to continue to come to fruition. You know,
Right.
because we stunt our growth, which don't realize that we're doing. Because in my book, I talk about what, you know, I talk about intrigue and I talk about belief and true belief.
Mhm.
So most of us are intrigued by things, something that looks cool or that
Yeah,
looks interesting, but
absolutely.
do we like it enough to actually take a step towards it? Most of the stuff that we see, we don't, right?
Mhm.
But then there's something that you see that, hey, I believe I can do that. Then you take a couple of steps towards that. Then you start going into it. As soon as the
Mhm.
adversity hits in that particular thing you're going for, and it starts to get a little hard, now the decision becomes, uh, do I really want to move? Did I really like this, or was I just a little more intrigued than usual to see it,
Right.
to
Yeah.
actually do it? Because a lot of us stop. They're like, maybe I want to do something else.
Mhm.
But then you have that one or two things that you truly believe you can do, and you truly believe that this can take you to where you want to go, and that's what you're going to do no matter what it is. I'm going to do that. They're going to
That's right.
knock you down. You're going to look up, see the ceiling. I'm going to get back up. You know, a setback is a setup for a comeback. All of that, no matter what's going to happen, I'm going to do
Mhm.
that thing.
Yeah.
That's
Resilience.
that's pretty rare, right?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
pretty rare. And in the midst of you going for that, because it's something that you truly believe that you want to do, that you can do, that you can achieve,
Yeah.
right then and there, there's growth. Because as you're going along and you're getting better and better, or you're pushing it for that thing, and then that thing starts to pull you, you're growing as a person then, because there's certain lessons you have to learn in anything that you're trying to go for. Even like in a personal relationship, there's lessons that's within that relationship. You know, there's lessons. Life is showing you so much, but a lot of us block our own vision. We block what it is we want to do because either because we don't really know how to obtain it, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe, like I said, it doesn't mean as much to us. Or a lot of us are just, you know, we're not seeing the signals, right? I always tell people, like I told a client one time, they said, Otis, how do you like go for something? Like you want to do something, but you just think about it and you put it in your mind. I said, because what I do is two things, right? One, I don't listen to the noise. I don't listen to the noise, right? What I do is I listen for the signals, right? I don't listen for the noise. I listen for the signals, because there's something that's always there, but you got to be able to see it. There's something that it's like, you know, like people say, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. I want to do this. I want to do this. You want to be successful? You don't even realize it, but you're actually surrounded by success already. It's just waiting to be displayed.
It's waiting to be and discovered, you know, in success.
You gotta grind enough to display that, but it's there. But a lot of people don't see it's there because they're seeing a physical image around them, and maybe it's not something that's conducive for success. I get that, but that alone should put into your mind and say, I'm going to get out of this.
Yeah, I'm going to move past this.
I'm going to move past it. Move past it, because you know you're going to have your friends that are not going to be, or people that you may know that are not going to be in that mindset anymore and going to try to keep you there. You know, so the mind is a very, very powerful tool if you know how to use it, or if you allow it to help you.
Mm-hmm. And again, those moves, those actions, they take practice, and then they take confidence. Confidence.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur or someone on the entrepreneurial journey, a lot of times I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. A lot of times we enter spaces, thank you, and we think it's going to be quick and it's going to be easy. Right. Entrepreneurship is hard.
It
for all
is.
people out here listening, it is difficult. It is not easy. All these overnight successes that you're seeing out here, I don't know of any real overnight successes, because, you know, someone started. You may see them successful today. They've been doing what they're doing and trying to work towards this success and this business perhaps for 10 years or more. So there is truly no such thing as entrepreneurship, as overnight successes. And there's no such thing that a person has gotten to where they are alone.
Right.
I see so many people that don't want to give credit where credit is due, because now they're in the limelight and they're getting all this notoriety. But you have to speak about how you got there, and the hands that held you, you know what I mean, or the hands that you held to get you there. It's very important for that. I just wanted to put that out there to say entrepreneurship is a grind. And if it's something if it's something that you're passionate about, you're not going to quit. When those walls are up, when those obstacles confront you, you're going to find a way to get over, under, through, whatever it is. Yeah. If this is something that you're truly passionate about.
You have to go through the process. And like you said, when people start really moving towards what it is they truly believe, and if they really, really want it, they're going to realize it's not as easy as they thought.
Right.
You know, like entrepreneurship is not as easy. You have to make the decision and buckle down and go for it. Now, and when it does get hard and so hard, there's thoughts that come in your mind anyway. Oh, maybe I should just go get a job for now. Maybe I should. But if you do that, now you're hindering the time that you're going to need to continue on your journey.
So true.
Right?
So
it's like people say, I don't want to struggle. You have to struggle. You got to welcome it. The struggles are your lessons. Struggles are going to determine how bad you really want what you're going for.
Right, that's right.
That's
and
what the struggle is going to do.
So worth it. The reward is so worth it.
Anything easy is anything that comes to you easy. I call it easy, right? Easy is the breeding ground for complacency. Because anytime when you get things easy, there was really not much effort, it's not going to have that much value to you. That's true. I think so many of those lotto winners lose their money a lot of times because there was really no effort to get the money.
Right. They didn't pour any sweat, heart.
Right. There's no blood, sweat, and tears to get it. So when you work and you grind and everything that you learn, and you reach a certain level of success, right? And you see, then even at that point, there's a little bit of adversity. Things is always going to happen. You start thinking back, well, you know what I went through to get here? I'm not going back. You know, if someone just gave it to you, if someone came to Jenny and said, you know what, Jenny, here's $10 million. Go do what you're gonna do. No problem. Now you're a sound mind. You're an intelligent woman, so you already know at this point. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make sure. But a younger one would have been like, "Oh, $10 million. I'm gonna buy a house. I'm gonna get a car.
You're gonna give me a good expensive car, buy a mansion, and
a mansion. You know what's funny? There's a friend of mine years ago in the 90s. I used to be in the music business, right?
Okay.
believe it or not. I was a I was a R&B singer. But anyway,
Really?
I thought that I was
You look
Guy, or
good.
I thought that I was Usher. Anyway, forget it. So I knew this guy who was a songwriter, a rapper. I knew he was really, really trying. He actually
Mhm.
wrote the lyrics to "I'll Be Missing You," the song for Biggie when he
Oh,
passed away. Yes,
yeah.
he did, right?
Wow.
He wrote some of the lyrics because I remember he was in those circles. And he came to us and said, "I'm in the studio tonight. I'm doing it because when Biggie passed," I was like, "Oh, that's great, right?"
Hmm.
Then when his royalty check came, he was living in the projects in Harlem and his mom. But
Okay.
when the royalty check came in, instead of him getting a house or saving up whatever, he bought a black Mercedes and parked it in front of the hood. I was like,
Oh, just an
I told
invitation
him,
to come and take
I
it.
said, shouldn't you buy a house first? He was like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Then he would have because he didn't have a garage, so he would have his friend watch the car for him
Oh
while
my.
he's upstairs. So I used to be like, dude, if you don't got a nice car, at least put it in the garage. Pay for a
Mhm.
garage. I mean, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying is the perspective
It
is,
is.
is,
It
is what
is.
I'm talking about. At that point, he got into a situation. He got lucky. He probably didn't know what to do. Now he probably knows what to do, of course. But
Hmm.
that's what I mean. This is where the mentorship comes in. He should
Yeah.
have had somebody with him saying, hey, listen, dude, this is what you need to do. You got this money, do this, do
Mhm.
this. Do this. You don't need a $50,000 car and park it in front of this, you know.
Absolutely not. That's status. So that's a
But
need.
again, he was only like 20, 21. He was like 24. I get it. You're not really thinking straight. So
Yeah.
the people who are young, and that's what I try to do. The people who are at that age, impressionable age, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Hmm.
I try to show them, look, this is what you need to do. I try to mentor them because I know for a fact that at that moment, everyone's trying to look cool, or they want to set off a certain image. Let me get this car. I know. Let me get this piece of jewelry, or whatever. But you gotta understand, if you're gonna buy a piece of jewelry for like $10,000, really, that's an investment. I mean, what's the point? What's the value? Is it gonna hold the value? That's why you gotta try to show them at this moment. Let's be smart about it. All right.
Right.
But smart, believe it or not, being smart and being great with your money at that age is boring to them
Oh yes. They
because they
need.
don't have I need to show,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that stems from not having anything most of the time.
That's true.
So you
And like
want to
they need
show
to show, they
that
need status. Need to show
they
status.
exactly the
So yeah.
status.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has been good, Otis. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll come back to Otis and talk a bit more, and then we're going to share how you all can get in touch with him if you so desire. All right. We'll be back in a second.
Thank you so much.
You're not just building a career, you're building a reputation and that of your business. At People Power Consultancy, we coach ambitious professionals to refine their image and shape a personal brand that opens doors. Because the way you show up is your message. If you're tired of blending in, second guessing your presence, or feeling unseen, this is your moment to stand out with purpose and polish. Visit peoplepowerconsultancy.com to start your transformation. Your next level has a look. Let's define it.
Okay, we are back. Otis, thank you again for sharing all of this valuable information that you have already shared and having just an authentic conversation. It's really good. I think that listeners can really gain or have gained a lot from what we've already shared. So, as I mentioned, if someone wants to get in touch with you or connect, utilize your services, how can they do that?
Yes, so you can email me at otisdgore@yahoo.com.
Hmm.
You can go to the website otisdgoreauthor.com. Now that website is being updated, so it may not be out. So you can also reach me on my IG, which
Hmm.
is at Gore Otis D. Right, my book is available on Amazon, of course, and you can also look me up on Facebook. And yep, that's the book. That's my Idris Elba look.
Audacity of Doubt.
No,
Good.
no, no. You know what was funny? I was selling my book at an event one time, and the lady told me, "Oh, you look like Idris Elba." My head got big. I was like, "Oh, for real? I do? Okay, okay."
I'll take it, right?
I said, "I'll take it." I said, "I'll take it." But
Oh,
yeah. So it was you can also reach me on TikTok. Uplink on TikTok, but IG, which is at Otis D Gore,
okay.
at Gore Otis D.
At
That's
Gore
the IG.
Otis D.
Or you can just call me. I'll put my number out there.
Okay, put your number out there.
347-387-5052.
All right. Thank you, Otis. So, in your book, you talk about, and I'm really big on first impressions. I know
Yeah,
the impact of it, how it
yeah,
opens doors, how it closes doors, but
yeah,
also know that within a matter of seconds, you can be dismissed. You can lose opportunities based on what others see.
right.
First impressions, our appearance, and how we communicate. It tells
Yeah,
a lot about who we are,
yeah,
economic status, educational status, perhaps what we do, how we're feeling. So you
yeah.
talk a bit about first impressions as well. Um,
Hmm.
what can you tell the audience about maybe an experience you had in a situation where first impressions really helped you open a door, or even how they practical tips perhaps that they can use to help build a first impression, a positive first impression, and not beyond appearance. I have that part, but
Yeah, yeah.
outlet, so to speak.
It's amazing because as I mentioned before, years ago I was, in the music business. But when I was a teenager, I know I hate to say, when I was a teenager, I was in an R&B group, and I had this mentor, Eddie Hernandez, and he talked about first impressions, right?
Mhm.
We would always go to an audition, and people at the audition, they wear their regular clothes, so he would make us go there dressed like we do on the show. I used to be like, why I gotta put my uniform on? He
Mhm.
said, because when they see you, you are already gonna look like a unit. That
Very much.
means that you're halfway there. He would say, even if you don't have a great audition, they're gonna say, well, you know what? They wasn't bad, but I like the fact that they came ready.
Ready. Yes.
He told us that, and I was like 15 years old, so I did not understand why he wanted us to wear out. So I said, we got to save the suits for the show. He said, you got to get in the show first.
Yes.
Which
Always look like who you say you
you look
are.
like who you say you are.
Who you
Exactly,
say
right?
you are. Yeah,
And
that comes with intentionality. Go ahead.
yeah, so that moment was like it made me start thinking like, oh, okay, so you always got to kind of look the part in a sense,
Hmm.
right?
That's
So, and what I learned was there's this thing that I started thinking about. It's like the micro minute, like the micro reaction, right? Like you talk
right.
about when you want to know that you're in the room, right? First
Yeah.
thing you got to do is you have to really scan the room. You got to make sure, and you got to look around, and you got to really analyze it, and you got to start thinking as soon as you enter the room. Now it's a thin line between being who you really are and trying to be somebody else. Because if who you really are is a little rough around the edges, you want to tone that back a little bit.
Polish it up. Yes.
Right, you want to tone that back, but who you're really not, right? You don't want to be so much into that. So it's like a
Mhm.
fine line, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to sound or be, fake, because people pick up on that.
It's an energy. Yeah. You
Yeah, it's an
always
energy,
want to
right?
stay as
You
close
have
to.
to you have to be your authentic self, but
Yes.
before you can be your authentic self, you got to know who authentic self is.
Right. Self
Right.
identity. You
So
have to know who you are.
because if you notice with us, right, with people in general, we're different around our friends and our family than we are in front of other people, right? In
Yes.
front of our friends and family, we can say, hey, what's up, my man, la, 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 whatever, right? Or you might see your girlfriend, hey, girl, whatever, right?
Mhm.
But when you're in front of corporate, or you're in front of, people you want to mentor, people you want to help, you want to get in business, you can be authentic and natural, but you have to also let them know that I'm just trying to be real with you. You can be real, but
Yeah.
you got it's kind of a balance, right?
Yeah. It has.
And
It should be polished, because you're going to take
yeah,
you wherever you go. So,
wherever
like
you go.
with your family, those little things are going to come out because that's who they know you to be.
Yeah,
But with that work that you've put in to refine who you
refine.
are, it's going to go with you everywhere. So those bits
Yeah,
and pieces, you have to know when and where to
yeah,
invite them in. But always, always be authentic. We cannot operate successfully trying to be something else. There's enough copycats in the world, right? Enough copycats in the
exactly.
world, and people out here are looking for the difference that you bring, the value
Yes,
that you bring, and they resonate with that. The story of us, how we walk
yeah,
into the room, how we communicate, the things that we say. And then, some people confuse telling your story with telling the whole story, all the
yeah.
pain and that's fine, but bits and pieces of that. I had to learn that myself because when I was going through coaching many years ago, my coach had me to write um, a before and after story. And the
Mm,
before story I didn't want to tell that whole story because for me, I felt like, well, nobody cares about that. That's not, it's none of their business. But I realized that bits and pieces of that
Yeah,
story is what's going to draw
just going to draw
people
people.
to me. Yeah, because they can relate, and I've been where they've been, and I can
Right.
help them get through the thing that they're trying to get through if they are
Yeah.
my person, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. You have to. So it's like being hypocritical in a sense, right? It's like when I was writing this book and I was talking about pushing through self-doubt and everything, and I would tell people, how can I write about a subject if I haven't been through it?
You can't.
You know,
How
I
can
have to
you?
be able to. I can tell you about it because it's something that I actually experienced and I
Hmm.
actually pushed through. That's the
Yeah.
reason why I tell people that I am from the Bronx. I am from an area, a time where there was no hope. It was a lot of, a lot of destitute, and I have to tell that story. You know how many times as me doing interviews and I'm going around and stuff, people actually told me, "Oh, you don't sound like you're from the Bronx," or "You don't act like you're from the Bronx." So there's a certain image of the Bronx.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, when people think of the Bronx, they're like, "Oh, really? Oh," so they think of rough edge and
Yeah.
hood and all
Get it
that.
down.
That's not all what it is. Now, there is a lot of that, of course, but it
Yes.
doesn't mean like you have to be of that. Like they say, you can take the person out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the person. But you don't have to take the hood with you.
That's right.
You know, you don't
And
you don't have to you don't have to do that.
yeah.
It's not about being fake or anything like that. What it's about is, like we said, being your authentic self. And
Always.
when you're dealing with people, right, you have to really think of the actual response, like the micro response, right?
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
like, if you, like, for example, you'll know, if you really pay attention, you'll know who's really down for you and who's not, just from what you tell them, right? Like when
True.
I first told some people, I didn't tell a lot of people because some things I want to just keep to myself, like even when I was writing the book. But a
Yes.
few people that you did tell, like if I came to Jenny and I said, "Hey Jenny, you know what? I've been working on, I'm working on a book and blah, blah, blah." And that first second reaction is really
Mhm.
the truthful one.
Oh,
If
yeah.
someone gives you a look like, "Oh, a book, oh, that's great." That's like,
Mhm.
really, you?
Yeah. Now you've tried to clean it up. So, yeah,
Now you gotta clean it
yeah,
up.
first impression,
That
they're
first
showing.
quick reaction, and you got to be able to see it. And then
Yeah.
when you actually accomplish something or you bring something to fruition, like a book or coaching program, or you're doing something to move yourself and other people forward, then we're going to really see
Mhm.
who's actually down for you and who's not. And they don't have to say anything. It's just the actions.
That's true.
It's just the actions,
Yeah.
So it's like, if someone can, like, if I know someone that has a project, I don't care whether this is my brother, my sister, anyone. If I want to
Mhm.
see you win, I'm going to support you wholeheartedly. Listen,
Wholeheartedly.
you know what? I don't want the book for free. Here, how much is it? Here you go. No, but I
Yeah.
don't want you to pay for it. I want to pay for it because I know
That's
you
support.
put some
That's real
things.
support.
I
Yes.
want to pay. I know I want to help you. And
Yeah.
that's why I love my brother so much, because my brother did that for me. He came to my book signing and he bought like 5 books. I said, "Bro, you can't." He said, "I'm buying 5 books because I want to give one to my wife. I want to give one to my 2 kids. I want to get,
Mhm.
And I felt weird taking my brother's money, but he insisted.
And you're in a business. I mean, you're in a
Right.
business to sell. You were selling your book,
Yeah.
and he understood that and supports you enough and
Yes.
value what you have to say enough to pay for
Yeah.
it,
And
And
I looked at him like, "Oh, bro," and I thought about it. I said, "You know what? I probably would have did the same thing. I would
yeah.
have just paid, because I don't want to think I'm gonna pay. I know what you did. You worked on it to get it, because it's a self-published situation. So
Mhm.
I had to fund it myself, and
Yes.
really buy all the materials, and the when you do your events, you have the tablecloth and the sign.
Yeah,
So
the
it's a lot.
branding. Yes, it's a lot of
Branding,
things
right?
to do. Yeah.
So, and I always appreciated that from the people who supported me that way, and or still is.
Mhm.
We talk about, and the book came out in 2024. It's almost a year, but the point is, I'm still grinding, because I've come across people when I do book events who've been pushing their book since like 2017. I was like, "Oh, it came out then." you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
you
And
just
that's
don't. Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry.
don't know. You don't know. You just, I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm on." People already asking me, "When's the next one?" I said, I want to get the legs on this one tired enough where it's
Mhm.
time to do another one. And not enough people have seen it so far. So, but we're getting there. I appreciate this opportunity here on the Image Connection.
Sure, sure. Happy to do it. Happy to get the word out and happy to get the book. And like I said, I did read portions of it, and we'll read more of it. I think it's something that anyone can
Yes.
use, whether they're starting a career, whether they're just overcoming obstacles in life. I think the book is a
Yes.
good read for that. And then so when we are entering into like the entrepreneurship journey, careers and such, and we are battling with self-doubt. And for me, when I'm working with a client that comes to me for a fix, I don't really believe people need to be fixed. It goes beyond style. Some people come thinking that they want style. Some people come knowing that they need more, but they always feel like they need a fix when all they really need is to know who they are. That self-identity. First, know who you are, and then
Yep.
know what your values are, and then craft those, in a way that's going to be um, aligned with your goals and the things that you want to do. And so, with you,
Right.
you challenge readers to embrace self-sufficiency
Yeah.
and in order to reach their best selves. So, how does
Yeah.
cultivating that um, help with independence and then personal accountability?
Yeah. So what I do is this, right? So when you're dealing with people, most people don't have a 100% positive self-reflection of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Everyone seems to believe that they're flawed or I can't do that. That's with the doubt, right? So,
mm-hmm.
I teach them that the one thing about doubt, I call the audacity of doubt, is because it's the nerve of the emotion of that feeling to constantly creep his little head up every time you even
Mm-hmm.
think about trying to do something. It kind of
Yeah.
keeps you in that moment, keeps you there, right? So, like the nerve, like how is it always there, right? So when I talk to people, I do realize, especially a lot of the young people, they are very impressionable. They don't really know what it is that they want. They don't have a positive enough or a higher enough self-image of themselves because you're your own worst critic, right? So you're always thinking, oh man, I don't know, I got to do this. So you always believe that even if you believe that you got confidence that you're good at something, then when you start getting into the room or being around people that's trying to do what you're trying to do, then you start to see people that are actually ahead of you. Now you start to doubt yourself. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, but they were where you are at one
They
point.
were where you are, right? I said, look, you can. It's okay to doubt yourself at that moment, but don't stop. All right, just ask them or try to see what they did to even get there. Because believe it or not, even at that point, there's someone that's behind you.
That's right. That's right.
There's someone that's behind you. There's
Yeah.
always going to be someone that's like I spoke to this guy before, and he got drafted into the NBA. He didn't last long because he got an injury, but I met him, right? And he was in his state, he was Mr. Basketball. He was the top guy, right? The top guy. Then he realized even when he went to college, a D1 school, he realized that either he wasn't as good as he thought he was, but there was people from all around the other kids around the country that was better than him, or he thought that they were better than him. And he didn't have anyone to tell him, it doesn't mean they're better than you. They're the same player. You just got to keep working to become the best player you could be. Because I always say, you don't have to be the best. You have to always do your best. And if you do your best, if that means that you are the best, then great. But that kind of messed with him in his mindset because he always, when you like the number one recruit or you're the number one in your state or whatever, you get things, you get perks. He didn't have to go to class too much. I mean, it's not a good thing to do that, but because they want you to play, they want you to, they give you perks, right? And then when it got a little harder, he just didn't know how to deal with that fact. Because it becomes the more you give someone, the more you people tell you you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great, and then all of a sudden your mindset starts going into an entitlement stage.
Yeah, that's true. So true. Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I'm entitled. You start to believe your own hype.
Yeah,
right?
it's damaging.
You start to believe it, but the more self-reflection you have, the better off you're going to be. The more how things are happening to you and you react accordingly, the better off you're going to be. Just like the old African proverb always states that if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside could do you no harm, right? That's a true statement.
It's right? Very true. Very
if
true.
There's no enemy here. That's why people always say you got to work on yourself, right? You always got to be, because you're always going to have people coming at you, things happening to you, things. How are you going to react to it? You know, you can't. People say, "Oh, let's fight fire with fire." Yeah, but if just because you're the loudest person, don't mean that you're the best person. It don't mean that what you're saying is right.
That's right. It's,
Okay,
it's power in quietness
it's
and being
power
still.
in being.
Power in that.
There's power in that. You know, people say, what's the greatest thing you can have? Silence.
Yes.
Silence. You don't have to react accordingly. Like this whole thing that's going on politically. You know, I love the way Obama's handling it. He just don't say nothing. People coming at him with stuff. He's like, he stays quiet. He's probably working on something, but that whole thing, that's what I mean. Like how you react to things, how you truly believe that you can. Because once you're at that point where, hey, I'm doing this, I know I can become this, and I'm fighting for it to become this, then you have no choice but to react accordingly.
That's right.
Because it's very easy to get derailed. It's very easy to go off track. The key is, once you're off track, are you willing to go back on track?
Yeah. And so that confidence, with that unshakable confidence, unshakable with who you are and your talents. Again, that takes training yourself. That takes practice. And because if you don't practice that thing daily to help, you know, even the small things to help build that confidence, you will get derailed, or you can get derailed. The first time someone comes to you that you feel might be competing with you, doing the same thing as you. There are many of us out here doing the exact same thing, that you did. You wrote a book about it. Okay, so no one's going to write a book by Otis Gore, but they may write a book around the same topics that, you know, you're talking about. Me, I'm an image consultant and branding coach. There's thousands of people out here doing the same things that I do, but they can't do it like me. So that's a differentiator. So there is no competition because I'm doing what I do.
Right.
I do it and how I have developed my craft.
Yes.
No one can develop their craft like I have for me. So that's what we have to remember.
Right. It's crazy because I was a couple of weeks ago, I did the Philadelphia Book Fair at the Philadelphia Convention Center, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, my book is called The Audacity of Doubt, right? Mm-hmm. So this lady came up to my table and she goes, "Otis D, Gore. What does the D stand for?" I said, "The D stands for doubt." She looked at me. I was like, "I'm just playing." She was like, I said, "Well, because it's like, you know, there was a guy right behind me, a young guy, and he wrote a book. He was there with his parents, right? But all he had on the table was a cloth and a couple of books. There was no signage, no image, nothing to draw people there. So I overheard him tell his parents, "Mom, how come no one's buying my book? No one's coming to my table." When you look at all the other tables, people had signs, pop-ups. You gotta make people go, "What's that over there? Let me see this. Let me see that." Absolutely. And you know, he came to me and said, "Oh, there's so many people coming to your table." I said, "I'm gonna talk to you in 1 second." He's a young kid, like he must have been like maybe 21, 22. Yeah. So I came to him and I said, "Listen," I said, "You know what it is?" I said, "Look around you." I said, "Just look around you." He could look around. I said, "Do you see all these tables here?" There must have been about 30 tables. I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you see in all these tables or most of these tables?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "What do you see when you look at all these tables?" He went, "There's a lot of stuff." Oh. I said, those tables are drawing people. People are going over there. I said, "Now when you look at your table, what do you see?" "Well, I got my books." "You have a few books laid out. That's it. There's no display. There's no cloth. There's nothing." I said, "What would make someone come to your table?"
Not when we have all these other visible aesthetics.
He said, "You know what he told me?" He goes, he said, "Well, you know, it's my book." I said, "Yeah, but they don't know you. Yeah. They don't know you." I said, "You want to know who could have a table like you with no one coming in? Because who? Someone like Oprah Winfrey."
Yeah, because they know her.
They know her already.
I don't care about what's on her table. I want
to go see Oprah.
Yeah, and I wrote something even today that said, if they don't see you, they won't know you. They don't know you. You know, the table, they don't know what he's selling. They don't know that his book can be a benefit to him, to them, because he's not marketing himself correctly or in that moment. You know, visibility is powerful. So it's
very unique how you talked about. You see different people, different people doing what you're doing. They may be on a high level, or you may like the way they do it. They can't do it exactly like you, or you can't do it exactly like them, but you do it your way. They do it their way. You know, how people react to things like that, and when you're shooting for something, is you have to react. You have to say to yourself, "Wow, like if you're a speaker, like I'm a speaker, right? So I have a keynote speech coming up next week, right? I'm speaking for. Thank you so much. So, but I know that there's going to be other speakers there, and I might listen to them and see how they do it. I'm not going to do it exactly like them, but even if I feel to me, oh wow, this guy's on another level.
Yes.
All right, I might could draw from that, and maybe try and that's going to push me to make my presentation better.
Yeah.
You know, but unfortunately, in the human mind goes to the exact thing of, you know, J and E, which I call jealousy and envy. People get that way.
Yeah, they do.
You'd be surprised how many people was like, oh, you, you know, that's not even the right reaction. And this is what I teach people as well. I said, you can't react with you have to be happy for people. You have to be you have to be happy for the fact that they're out there doing what you're doing, and they're pushing. The reason why you should be happy because you already know what they're going through because you're going through it.
That's right. And use it as fuel to do.
Use it as fuel
to get yourself out there or get you to where you want to be. And you know, the comparison syndrome. We see somebody, like you said, a guy might get on stage and he has this knockout speech.
Yeah.
And then someone could in the audience that's going to be speaking, not in the audience, but in the lineup to speak, you know, behind him. You hear a lot of people going, well, I don't know if I can follow that.
Right.
It's not designed for you to follow. You get up there, you do your thing, and you speak about your area of expertise and your experience. And that's what's going to land with the people.
That should really ignite your adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely.
That should make you go, oh man, I got to really show improve now.
That we're hardwired to compare.
Right, exactly.
It's human nature to do that. So again, we have to teach ourselves not, you know, how to get past that self-doubt.
Right.
And so if there's anything that you can leave our audience with today, maybe an actionable tool or words of encouragement or something that you can give the audience today that they can take with them, what would it be? So
I always try to explain to people that as you're going on your journey and as you be able to, you got to be able to see things, you know, I call it a discontinuance where sometimes you got to, you know, as you're going too fast or you're moving, sometimes you got to stop, take a step back, take a look around and see what's going on around you, right? It's a discontinuance, right? You got to be able to see what's going on. You got to be able to see who's with you, who's nurturing your career, who's toxic in your career. You got to be able to see stuff like that, right? But the main thing you got to be able to do is when you do see something that might can help you or push forward, you got to be able to seize the moment. You got to be able to rise to the occasion, right? Because a lot of us don't tend to rise to the occasion because even before we get to the opportunity, we're not quite ready. All right. Yeah. So the way that people can rise to the occasion, right? I said this in a speech one time. You know, you have to really look into the actual word rise, and you got to dissect rise, right? So with rise, what you got to do is you got to look at the R first, and the R is to actually come in and say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to be able to RISE. So my R is risk. I got to take my risk first.
Okay.
Once I'm willing to take that risk on the R, now I'm going to work on the I. I got to ignite that action. So I got to risk and I got to ignite. So once I'm ready to risk and ignite, the only thing left for me to do is to work on the S. And the S, I got to be able to sacrifice. So you got to risk, ignite, and sacrifice. And once I'm ready to take that risk, ignite that action, and make that sacrifice, now I'm going to start working on the E because the E is going to come automatically. The E is I'm going to elevate. So I'm going to risk, ignite, sacrifice, and elevate. And when we elevate, we rise.
We rise. That's good. That's good. That's good.
I made that up myself. Just so you know, I made that up. I got a patent.
You did good. I do want to say that, you know, there is power in the pause. You mentioned something about disconnecting or...
Yeah, discontinuance.
Discontinuance. There's power in that because when we take a pause, we get so caught up in things going on and these perceived failures that we have. But when we take a pause to kind of recalibrate and in order, there's power in that because you come back fresh, renewed, with new ideas, and so it helps us again to rise. And for anyone out here that are struggling with how to make a first impression or how to make your image in your appearance one of positivity, I do have a guide that I want to offer. It's a free guide that you can download to my website and download that It should be, let's see here. So it's called Why Image Matters and Why You Should Care. And you can download that on my website, peoplepowerconsultancy.com. There's a link there. So feel free to write that down and go get that. It's just going to help you in your everyday getting dressed, making your image a positive one, and making a positive impact. And for anyone else that wants to keep up with me, you can follow me on LinkedIn. It's just Jenny Dewberry on LinkedIn. On IG, it's Jenny D_People Power. And then on Facebook, it's People Power Consultancy. And again, Otis, thank you so much for sharing your insight, making this a great flow, a good, authentic conversation. And then your book, The Audacity of Doubt. Be sure to get that at Amazon and support Otis there. There's his information. He's a certified speaker and coach.
Yep.
Website is there and his email address is there. And tell them where they can find you on IG.
And you can find me at Gore Otis D. So it's at Gore Otis D. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well as Facebook and TikTok.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Otis, thank you again. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection Show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready for more insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you enhance your image, brand, and help you on your entrepreneurial journey, this is where you want to be. Until next time, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power. I'll see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Take care.